Yo, have no fear. HeroSphere is here.
Hey Brawlers, today I'm going to show you guys how to make a deck in the Bakugan TCG Simulator. If you don't have Excel, the next best option is going to be Notepad. So that's what I'm going to actually show you guys how to do in this video, because I know not everyone out there has Excel. And if you do and you know how to use it, then great, go ahead and do that. But I'm going to show you guys how to do this with Notepad. So what you're going to want to do is right click on deck template and go down to open with and click on Notepad. Okay. Once you've opened up your deck template, the very first thing that you want to do is go to File, click Save As, and name your deck. Okay, so this will make sure that you don't overwrite the template itself, because that'll make it really difficult in the future to make new decks. So yeah, so we're just going to call this new deck, and we're going to save it. And then once we're all done, when we've made all our changes, all we have to do is go File, Save, and it'll save it as new deck. So we're going to edit this. We're going to make our deck using Notepad. It's a little simpler in Excel, right? So if you know how to do that, just do that instead. So when you open up the Notepad file, you're going to notice, or the Excel file, whatever, you're going to notice that the first line or the first row is where you put information for your Bakugan. The second row is where you put information for your cards. And the third row here is for your cores. So you're going to notice that you have all these commas, okay? Those are necessary. Just leave them, let them be. Basically in Excel, right, it's going to separate each of your Bakugan, your cards, your cores into different cells in the program. But in Notepad, it actually, the only way it can really denote this is with a comma. So if you're imagining this like Excel, it's basically like this comma is separating this Bakugan from this Bakugan, and then down here we have another comma that separates this Bakugan from this Bakugan. Same applies to the card names and the cores. So so you just be mindful of your commas, because if you lose a comma somewhere, then it's all gonna break, and you don't want that. You don't. Then you just need to reinstall if that ends up happening. But and then so this is the template. So if you want, you just basically fill in the information for each Bakugan, like the Bakugan, the name of the Bakugan, the faction, and then the set. And you really do need all this information, because you have, like, for example, like Pyrus Dragonoid. There's a Pyrus Dragonoid from Battle Brawlers, and that's totally different than the Pyrus Dragonoid that's from Armored Elite. And so there needs to be a way to basically separate those, and for the simulator to know which one you want to play with, right? So you need all this information, the name, the set, and the faction. And I provide down here a little bit of help for you guys in that area. So I know not everyone knows what set everything is from, or how to spell the things, or, you know, it can be kind of difficult. So I put down here the name of each of the sets that currently are mostly functional in the simulator. One important thing to point out is we don't use any spaces in this file. Everything needs to be an underscore instead of a space. So that's really important. So I'll show you guys here how to enter Pyrus Dragonoid from Battle Brawlers. So you start by just typing in Dragonoid into where the Bakugan's name was, and then you can get rid of faction and replace that with Pyrus. And then the set you're going to want to replace with Battle Brawlers. And you can type this out, or if you're you know, good with copy paste, I'd actually recommend copy pasting instead. So yeah, and that's all good. And so as long as you have this comma after it, then this is your first Bakugan. It's all set, ready to go. So you wanna do that for each of your 3 Bakugan, whatever you're running. So then let's move on to the cards. You have a 40 card deck, so you need to make sure that in Excel you have 40 cells. In Notepad, just this is the template. There's already 40 set up for you, so if you don't delete any, then you know you have 40. Otherwise, if you do delete some or something like that, you're gonna have to count and make sure that you have 40 different cards. But it's basically the same thing. So this is just card name right here, and I put an underscore there so that you know that you have to separate each space in the card name with an underscore, right? So if let's say I'm running deep dive, so that would go like this: deep underscore dive and then underscore again, and we're gonna say that's Aquos. And then we have the set that is from Bakugan Resurgence. If you don't know what set your cards are from, you can look at the bottom right corner of the card, and that gives you the abbreviation, and most of the abbreviations are pretty obvious for which set they go with. Some aren't. Your other good option is you can use like online resources like Bakugan.wiki or Brawler.cafe are both great resources that you can use to figure out what set your cards are from. So yeah, so now Deep Dive is good to go. It's in my deck. I have one copy of it right now. If I want multiple copies, then this is what I would recommend you do. You copy, so you highlight everything, you right click, copy, and then you go to where the next card is, you highlight it, you right click, and you click paste. And there you go. Now you have a second Deep Dive. And if I wanted a third one, I just do it again. So there you go. Now I have 3 Deep Dives in my deck, and then you just go ahead and do that for every card in your deck. Okay, last thing is cores, and this is where some of these things are going to be more helpful now. So in the core setup, you can see there's core type, so you need to replace core type with one of these things, so Helix, Shield, Fist, Flaming Fist, or Magic Shield. Okay, so just to be clear, right, so Magic Shield is the blue shield, Flaming Fist is the red fist, Just Fist is green fist, Just Shield is orange shield, and then Helix is the DNA looking thing, right? Some cores in this game have up to 3 effects. So in the template, I put in what it would look like if you had all 3 effects. If you don't have 3 full effects, then all you have to do is get rid of the last ones, right? So we put in the core type. Let's do a 650 Magic Shield, okay? Like basically the most common core. So what you would do is you get rid of core type and you type in Magic Shield. And make sure you're using the underscore and you're capitalizing as necessary, right? Because like any little mistake in here that's not exactly the same as what this is gonna not work. So it's a pain, it really is, but it is what it is. So and then your faction needs to be in parentheses. So notice we actually have all is one of our factions. This is just for the cores. So there's some cores that say, okay, let's say there's orange shields that say plus 400 B power, but only to Pyrus or Haos. So in here, that's actually 2 different effects. You have one effect that's 400 B power for Haos, one effect's 400 B power for Pyrus. So for things like Magic Shield, what we have to do is we say the faction is all. So it works for every faction. So we just say all. And then we replace effect 1 with plus 650 B power. And again, make sure that you spell out B power exactly like this, and make sure you have a space in here, and make sure you have a plus. So it's plus 650 space, and then B dash power with the capital B and a capital P. Like, yeah, it's very specific because it needs to be. So just make sure you follow that. And actually, I have a little resource for you guys to help with this. If you go to your desktop, to the shortcuts folder, you can click on this shortcut, Core Picks. And so the other option, if you don't want to type out that whole gross core name, you can actually just find your core in here. All right, so they're right here. So you can take this and you just take this name right here. So it's Baku Core 40, right? You can take that and you can just paste that in instead. Okay, so to finish this, first off, you need to get rid of the rest of this, right? So this is only one effect and this is how it looks, right? So this is exactly how you type in the Magic Shield. You can also type in instead just Baku Core 40. And these are exactly the same. These are just 2 different ways that you can type in the 650 Magic Shield. So it's up to you whichever one you want to use. Like, it's pretty easy to just pick out the core you want, the name for it, and paste it into here between the commas, right? So that's one thing you got to make sure, right? You only have 6 cores that you can use. Just make sure you have it right. Just make sure you have it right. Otherwise, it's a pain, dude. You don't want to go through that pain. Trust me. Okay, like I've put all this together because I've been through the pain, and I know it's not very nice. They're not very worth it. So, you know, there's these 2 different ways of doing it because they're simple options, right? Okay, I'll just show you real quick, like one of the more complicated cores to type in. So we have like a green fist like this. So it has plus 100B for everybody, so all factions, doesn't matter. And then you get 3 damage if you're a Pyrus or 3 damage if you're a Darkus. So basically the way that would type in is like this. So you would start with core type and you would replace that fist, and then for the first effect we'll go faction is all, and we'll replace effect 1 with plus 100 B power. Alright, with all the proper capitalizes and everything. And then the next one, we replace faction with Darkus, and that'll be plus 3 damage for that. Plus 3 damage. Alright. And the last effect, the third effect, okay, applies to Pyrus Bakugan, and we're going to make that effect be also plus 3 damage. And we gotta spell it right. Double check your spelling. Seriously, guys. Double check it all. Okay, and then, yeah, just for cosmetic reasons, we can just put in the last one, and we'll just say Baku Core. I don't even know. Just Baku Core 1. What even is that? It's a plus 1 green fist. Please don't run that in my simulator ever. Like, okay, you obviously can. I'm not saying you can, but like, you have the simulator. You have access to every single core in the game. I don't understand why you would want to choose this core. Just saying. So anyway, if you put in 3 Bakugan, 40 cards, and 6 Baku cores, then you have a full deck. Next, what you want to do is go over to File and click Save. Okay, and let's just see if that worked. I'm not sure if that would work right off the bat like that necessarily. So we got to go to our desktop and the shortcuts folder, and we'll click on decks. So once we're all done with our deck and we've saved it in Notepad, you can close out of your Notepad, and then you're going to want to find it in your decks folder. And you can see right here that it's actually a text document. We want it to be a CSV like all these other ones. So what we're going to do is, if you can see .csv on here, then just go ahead and click rename. If not, we need to see that. So we're going to go to View, and then we come find this checkbox right here. This is the File Name Extensions text checkbox. And we're going to click it, and when we do, now you can see the extension names here. And so we're just going to go and rename, and we're going to type in CSV. And we would like to change it. Yes, thank you. All right. And that's our deck. Our deck is finished. We've built it. Now, next we need to put it into the simulator. And that's what I'm going to show you next time. Watch the next video. It's going to be somewhere over here in a link thing, you know. So, yeah. Check that out for the next step in the setup.